Cars are often praised for being fast, beautiful, or practical, but some are remembered for being engineered far beyond necessity. In this countdown, we explore the 10 most over-engineered cars in history, machines where ambition and obsession created legends. From the futuristic Citroën DS of the 1950s to the rotary-powered Mazda RX-7, the luxury experiment of the Volkswagen Phaeton, and the perfection of the McLaren F1, these cars broke rules to chase innovation. We'll dive into icons like the Lexus LFA's screaming V10, the Bugatti Veyron's 1001 horsepower madness, and Japan's quiet masterpiece, the Toyota Century 512. These cars weren't built just to drive, they were built to prove what was possible. In the number 10 position, we have the Citroën DS, a car that stunned the world when it was unveiled in 1955. At a time when most cars were boxy, heavy, and simple, the DS looked like something out of a science fiction movie. Its sleek, futuristic shape was enough to turn heads, but what truly made it legendary was the over-engineering hidden beneath its skin. The DS introduced technology decades ahead of its competitors. It came with a fully hydraulic system that powered the suspension, steering, and even the brakes. This meant the car could raise or lower itself automatically, giving passengers an unbelievably smooth ride no matter how rough the road. To put it simply, it floated where other cars bounced. Later versions even featured headlights that swiveled with the steering wheel, allowing drivers to see around corners at night. Imagine having that in the 1960s. What made the DS so over-engineered is that Citroën didn't just want to build a car, they wanted to redefine what driving could feel like. Engineers spent years perfecting every detail, from its aerodynamic bodywork to its space-age dashboard. It was so advanced that many buyers had to be trained just to understand how to operate it. By the mid-1960s, the DS had gained a reputation as one of the most comfortable and innovative cars in the world. Consumer reports praised its ride quality and groundbreaking features, cementing 1967 as one of the most recommended years for owning one. Even today, collectors and enthusiasts marvel at how far ahead of its time the Citroën DS truly was. It wasn't built just to compete, it was built to change the game. And in many ways, it set the stage for modern luxury and innovation in cars. In the number 9 position, we have the Mazda RX-7, a car that became legendary not because it followed the rules, but because it broke them. Introduced in 1978 and perfected through the 1980s and 90s, the RX-7 was built around one of the most unusual engines ever put in a production car, the Wankel rotary. While most automakers were perfecting piston engines, Mazda doubled down on an idea so complex and over-engineered that it made the RX-7 unforgettable. The rotary engine is tiny compared to a regular piston engine, but it can spin to outrageous RPMs, delivering smooth power and a unique, high-pitched sound. The RX-7's lightweight design and perfect balance made it a dream for driving enthusiasts. By the 1993 FD generation, it had become a true performance icon, using sequential twin turbos that made it both lightning-quick and extremely complicated under the hood. This over-engineering came at a cost. Rotary engines were notorious for their high maintenance and tendency to consume fuel and oil at alarming rates. Owners loved the way they drove but often had to put up with rebuilds and constant tinkering. Still, that complexity only added to the RX-7's legend, because no other car felt quite like it. In 1993, Consumer Reports highlighted the FD RX-7 as one of the most exciting sports cars to own, despite its quirks. For purists, that year remains the most recommended, balancing razor-sharp handling with a design that still looks futuristic today. Even decades later, the RX-7 remains a cult favorite. It wasn't built to be practical, it was built to be different. Mazda's boldness in sticking with the rotary engine created a car that redefined what an affordable sports car could be, securing its place among the most over-engineered machines ever made. Bochis. In the number 8 position, we have the Volkswagen Phaeton, a car that perfectly defines what happens when ambition collides with over-engineering. Launched in 2002, the Phaeton wasn't just a luxury sedan, it was a statement by Ferdinand Piëch, VW's visionary and famously demanding chairman. His goal was simple yet outrageous. Build a Volkswagen that could rival the Mercedes S-Class and BMW 7 Series, with engineering so advanced it would shock the industry. The Phaeton came loaded with requirements that bordered on impossible. It had to cruise at 186 miles per hour all day without overheating, keep the cabin at a constant 72 degrees Fahrenheit even in desert heat, and deliver absolute silence at triple-digit speeds. To achieve this, engineers created one of the most complex cooling systems ever fitted to a road car, with multiple radiators and hidden ducting. The suspension was equally advanced, using adaptive air systems that soaked up bumps while still delivering sharp handling. Inside, the Phaeton was built like a palace. Hand-stitched leather, real wood veneers, and technology years ahead of its time filled the cabin. Features like double-glazed windows, heated everything, and one of the most advanced climate control systems ever built made it feel more like a luxury yacht than a sedan. But here's the twist. The Phaeton wore a Volkswagen badge. Buyers struggled to justify paying luxury car prices for a brand best known for the Beetle and Golf. Despite its brilliance, sales were slow, and VW lost millions on the project. Still, the Phaeton became a cult classic. Consumer Reports in 2004 praised its comfort and craftsmanship, even if it didn't sell well. Today, it's remembered as one of the most over-engineered cars ever, proof that sometimes engineers build not for the market but to prove what's possible. In the number 7 position, we have the McLaren F1, a car that redefined what over-engineering could achieve. Unveiled in 1992, the F1 wasn't just another supercar, it was Gordon Murray's vision of absolute perfection, with no compromise on cost, time, or technology. Every inch of this car was designed with obsessive attention to detail, making it one of the most iconic machines in automotive history. The F1's most famous feature is its central driving position. Instead of sitting on the left or right, the driver sits in the middle, flanked by 2 passenger seats. This setup gave the driver unmatched visibility and balance, something no other road car attempted on such a scale. The engine bay? It was literally lined with gold foil, not for show, but to reflect heat from the massive BMW-sourced 6.1-liter V12 that produced 618 horsepower. Despite weighing less than 2,500 pounds, the F1 could reach 240 miles per hour, making it the fastest production car in the world for years. But the magic of the F1 wasn't just speed, it was the precision of its engineering. Every component was bespoke, from the hand-built engine to the custom magnesium wheels and the titanium toolkit that came with each car. The interior was equally meticulous. Leather, carbon fiber, and even specially designed air conditioning systems made it comfortable despite its extreme performance. In 1994, consumer reviews praised its balance between track-ready power and surprising usability, cementing it as the definitive supercar of its time. Only 106 were ever built, and today, the McLaren F1 is valued at over $20 million. It remains a symbol of what happens when engineers are allowed to chase perfection without limits. More than 3 decades later, no car has captured that same mix of elegance, performance, and over-engineering quite like the F1. In the number 6 position, we have the Lexus LFA, a car that proved Japan could compete with Europe's finest by pushing engineering beyond reason. Released in 2010 after nearly a decade of development, the LFA was Toyota's moonshot project under the Lexus brand. It wasn't designed to sell in big numbers. Only 500 were ever made. It was designed to show what happens when engineers chase perfection without compromise. At its heart sat a 4.8-liter naturally aspirated V10 engine, co-developed with Yamaha. Producing 552 horsepower, it could rev from idle to 9,000 RPM in just 0.6 seconds. So fast that Lexus had to build a digital tachometer because a traditional needle couldn't keep up. The sound it produced was legendary, tuned by Yamaha's music division to deliver a scream like an F1 car. Owners described driving it as a symphony of engineering. The over-engineering didn't stop there. Lexus originally planned to build the chassis from aluminum, but halfway through development they scrapped years of work and started over, creating an entirely new carbon fiber weaving process. They even built a special loom just to weave the material for the LFA's monocoque structure. It was extreme, expensive, and completely unnecessary for most cars. But for the LFA, it became its soul. Inside, the attention to detail continued. Every stitch, every control, and every surface felt bespoke. It wasn't the flashiest interior, but it radiated precision. In 2012, consumer reviews highlighted it as one of the most thrilling driving experiences available, though many noted its price tag, $375,000, was higher than rivals. Yet today, the LFA is seen as one of the greatest Japanese supercars ever made. Its combination of rarity, innovation, and spine-tingling sound make it a masterpiece of over-engineering, remembered as Toyota's ultimate passion project. In the number 5 position, we have the Honda NSX, first introduced in 1990 and remembered as one of the most obsessively engineered cars of its era. At a time when Ferrari and Porsche dominated the sports car world, Honda set out to prove that Japanese engineering could deliver a supercar that was not only fast, but also reliable and easy to live with. The result was the NSX, an everyday supercar that stunned the industry with how over-engineered it truly was. The NSX was the first production car to use an all-aluminum body and chassis, saving hundreds of pounds compared to traditional steel. This obsession with weight reduction extended to its titanium connecting rods, forged pistons, and even the smallest components. Nothing was ordinary. Everything was designed with precision and purpose. At the heart of the NSX was a 3.0-liter V6 with Honda's groundbreaking VTEC system producing 270 horsepower. That might not sound huge by today's standards, but the engine's responsiveness and willingness to rev made it feel alive. Add in its perfect weight distribution and razor-sharp handling, and the NSX quickly gained a reputation for being one of the best driving cars in the world. Honda didn't stop there. They brought in none other than Formula One legend Ayrton Senna to fine-tune the suspension. His feedback pushed engineers to stiffen the chassis and refine the car's balance, creating a level of precision normally reserved for race cars. In 1991, Consumer Reports praised the NSX for delivering exotic car performance with Honda reliability, something unheard of at the time. Owners could drive their NSX daily without worrying about breakdowns, a sharp contrast to temperamental European rivals. The Honda NSX remains a masterpiece of engineering restraint and obsession. It wasn't the most powerful, but it was one of the most thoughtfully over-engineered cars ever, redefining what a supercar could be. In the number 4 position, we have the Mercedes-Benz S-Class W140, launched in 1991 and forever remembered as the over-engineered tank. This wasn't just a luxury sedan, it was Mercedes's no-expense spared attempt to build the greatest car in the world. Engineers were given free rein, and the result was a vehicle so complex, so advanced, and so costly that it nearly bankrupted the company. The W140 introduced technologies no one expected in a production car at the time. It had double-pane insulated glass for a whisper-quiet cabin, power-closing trunk and doors that sealed themselves shut, and an early GPS-based navigation system. Even the side mirrors automatically folded at speed, and tiny antenna rods popped out of the trunk to help drivers see its massive rear corners while parking. Every detail was engineered to perfection, whether it was necessary or not. The car was built with such heft and precision that it tipped the scales at over 2 tons, yet still delivered incredible comfort thanks to its advanced suspension and silky smooth engines. The flagship 600 SEL came with a massive 6.0-liter V12, producing 402 horsepower, an engine built to emphasize power and refinement at any speed. Inside, the W140 was lined with leather, wood, and cutting-edge electronics for its time. From climate control that could separately adjust temperatures for each passenger, to soft closed doors that became a Mercedes hallmark. Everything felt futuristic in 1991. Consumer Reports in the early 90s praised its comfort, technology, and safety, though many criticized its astronomical price tag. Mercedes spent so much perfecting the W140 that profits took a hit, but the engineering legacy it left behind is still unmatched. The W140 remains the poster child for Mercedes's obsession with over-engineering. A car built not to a budget, but to prove that luxury could be engineered into every last detail. In the number 3 position, we have the Bugatti Veyron, a car that shattered records and redefined what too much really means. First delivered in 2005, the Veyron wasn't just fast, it was over-engineered to an extreme no one thought possible. When Volkswagen Group revived Bugatti, Ferdinand Piëch laid down the challenge. Build a road car with over 1,000 horsepower, capable of topping 250 miles per hour, and still comfortable enough to drive to the opera. It sounded impossible, until the Veyron arrived. At its heart sat an 8.0-liter W16 engine with 4 turbochargers, producing 1,001 horsepower. To put that into perspective, that was more power than an entire grid of Formula One cars from the 1960s combined. But getting that power to the ground required radical solutions. The Veyron needed a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission built to withstand enormous torque, a special all-wheel drive system, and no fewer than 10 radiators to keep everything cool. Even the tires were a marvel. Michelin developed bespoke high-speed rubber that cost tens of thousands of dollars to replace. The result? A car that hit 253 miles per hour, setting a new world record for production cars. Yet despite its insane performance, the Veyron could glide through traffic as calmly as a luxury sedan, with plush leather seats, air conditioning, and a premium stereo. It was absurd engineering perfection. Of course, all this came at a price. Volkswagen reportedly lost millions on every Veyron sold. Consumer reviews in 2006 praised its unmatched performance, but acknowledged it was more engineering showcase than practical car. Still, that was exactly the point. The Bugatti Veyron wasn't designed to be sensible. It was designed to prove the impossible could be done. And in doing so, it became one of the most iconic over-engineered cars of all time. In the number 2 position, we have the Porsche 959, a car that looked like a 911 on steroids but was actually one of the most technologically advanced vehicles of the 1980s. Built in 1986 as a homologation model for Group B rallying, the 959 became a rolling test lab for Porsche, stuffed with innovations no one had ever seen on a road car before. It was the very definition of over-engineering. Under the hood sat a 2.8-liter flat-six with sequential twin turbos, producing 450 horsepower, staggering numbers for the mid-80s. What made it special was the delivery. One turbo spooled up at low revs for quick response, while the second kicked in at higher speeds, eliminating turbo lag. This setup became the blueprint for countless performance cars that followed. But the 959 wasn't just about power. It had an electronically controlled all-wheel drive system with variable torque distribution, a feature decades ahead of its time. Adjustable suspension allowed drivers to change ride height at the push of a button. The car even used lightweight Kevlar and aluminum panels to keep weight down, technologies borrowed from aerospace engineering. On paper, it could hit 197 miles per hour, making it the world's fastest production car at the time. But more impressive was how easy it was to drive. Consumer Reports and reviews from 1987 praised it for feeling stable and manageable, even at extreme speeds, something rival supercars of the era couldn't match. Despite costing Porsche a fortune to build, the 959 became a legend. Only 337 examples were made, and today they are among the most collectible Porsches ever built. The 1986 Porsche 959 wasn't just over-engineered, it was prophetic. Nearly every performance car today owes something to the technology it pioneered. It proved that engineering excess can also shape the future of the entire industry. In the number 1 position, we have the Toyota Century FAM 12, a car that redefined what it means to obsess over every single detail. First introduced with the V12 engine in 1997, the Century wasn't built for speed or flash. It was built as the ultimate chauffeur-driven car for Japan's elite executives and government officials. Unlike European luxury cars that screamed wealth, the Century whispered it, and its over-engineering was hidden in plain sight. Under the hood sat a 5.0-liter Phaeton, the only V12 Toyota has ever built. It produced just 276 horsepower, because in Japan at the time, manufacturers adhered to a gentleman's agreement on power. But the real story wasn't output. It was smoothness. The engine was engineered for vibration-free silence, with a level of refinement so extreme that many called it buttery. Step inside, and you'd find an interior unlike any other luxury car. Instead of leather, Toyota used the finest wool upholstery, as Japanese executives preferred its comfort and understated look. Rear passengers had controls for the audio system, power reclining seats, and even a fold-out footrest. The build quality was unmatched. Every button, every stitch, every panel was meticulously crafted by hand. Even small details showed obsessive engineering. The doors closed with a gentle, precise click. The paint took weeks to apply, with multiple layers polished to a mirror finish. Each car was built in small numbers at a special factory, ensuring near handmade levels of care. Consumer Reports in the late 1990s praised the Century 512 for its serenity and comfort, though it was never exported widely. It remained a domestic treasure, a car for those who valued subtlety over status symbols. The 1997 Toyota Century 512 proves that over-engineering doesn't always mean excess. It can also mean perfecting the art of understatement.